before. By first is, we can start fasting early. Physically, your body can start, with fasting by starting early with the new eating, with the new eating rhythm. So it doesn't get sluggish when we go to the real deal. It is also the Sunnah. It was narrated by the Prophet Muhammad SAW that he also fasts more in Shaban than from the hadith before, compared to other months. And start fasting now and make up the fasting month that we have missed before. And also we can do Ayamul Bid that has passed this last week. Also the Monday, Thursdays fasting as well. That's a nice practice for us, just so that when we enter the Ramadan, it's not, suddenly, okay, I'm not ready for this and all that. Well, inshallah, it's 1 week away, but it's not too late, inshallah, if you want to start with the Monday, Thursdays. But just be in mind that it's not advised to fast on the last day or two of Shaban, because Prophet Muhammad advised that there needs to be a differentiation between the obligatory Ramadan and the Sunnah deeds before that. And then we want to work on being energized with healthier eating habits, and you want to slowly leading to the month of Ramadan, being healthy. We also need to be smart and mindful on choosing what to eat, because the short time span we have between after iftar and then starting the fajr, we have to probably we don't eat as much, but we need to stay energized for the whole day. So usually it's the thirst that makes it hard during the fasting month, isn't it? But if we have adequate fluid intake, usually it is recommended 2 liters per day, but usually it's hard. So I usually have this big gallon with me every day. But for Ramadan, for really with fasting, this is gonna be my first time fasting Ramadan. I'll try to have this with me on bedside, and then try to drink it when before sleeping and after sleeping. I have to finish at least two or three of gallons here. And then or if you don't have this big bottle, you can try 1 to 2 cups per hour, or try to maximize the food that have high fluid content. And then there's we try to eat smart, not eat a lot. Eating a lot does not mean that we will be energized for the whole day. By choosing the right composition of food to eat, it will help you to carry out throughout the whole day. So usually it is recommended to eat low glycemic index food or complex carbohydrate combined with high fibrous food. And then it needs to be dense, nutrient dense, and also just small quantity, and everything is just how it was advised by the Prophet Muhammad SAW. And inshallah, we will elaborate that. And also cutting off caffeine, which might be very hard for most of us, because I think in here, most of them are young moms, and or some of them are working as well. And caffeine is usually our, to go to drink every day. But with caffeine, it's a diuretic. It has an effect to promote water loss through urination. So you tend to pee a lot. So if it does not, if it's not compensated with enough, drink, you will have the tendency to be dehydrated. So you want to reduce the quantity of the cup of coffee. Probably, I know someone who drinks 10 cups of coffee, but you don't want to cut it right away on the first day of Ramadan, because it will cause withdrawal effect on you. So you will tend to feel dizzy, headache, irritable, and mood swings. You don't want to have that throughout Ramadan, because you want to be able to do your ibadah and everything. So you want to do it, reduce it gradually. So say, okay, you start with 5 cups, and then the following in 2 days, you want to cut it into 2, 1, and so on. So by the time you enter Ramadan, you only need to probably just 1 during summer time. And also, if you can avoid snack before, so you don't, you're not really depending on snack anymore throughout the Ramadan. Okay, starting with eat smart. What's eating smart? So because well, aside from eating the, with the balanced diet with the carbohydrate, protein, yada yada, and we also need to have we have to choose the correct carbohydrate to eat, because there's we need the carbohydrate that tends to make us feel full longer and sufficient just to hold off the hunger. There's two different types of carbohydrates that are differentiated based on the capability of being converted to glucose. So these glucose are that food for our organ, especially the brain, to carry out its work. So for carbohydrate that are being converted to glucose very fast, it's called the carbohydrate, the simple carbohydrates that are showed by this red line here. So with this complex carbohydrate, they tend to have a very high glycemic index. So it means that within a very short time, they have they are being converted to glucose very fast, but then they will so they spike up, but then they will crash down very fast, and it will leave you leaving lethargic and hungry throughout the rest of the day. But then if you choose the more friendly carbohydrate, which is the complex carbohydrate, they tend to have a lower glycemic index. So they will be converted to glucose very slowly. And then it's just enough to make you feel, get filled up and all that. And then they will lower down very slowly and steady and being stable. So you don't really feel hungry as fast as quick. So you will tend to feel, feel full longer, and it will hold off your hungry. And this is what you want to choose, the stuff that, with the whole grain, vegetables, those good stuff that I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with. And the stuff that, with our childhood things, it's very good. It's usually the ones with the high glycemic index. And these are, you can look it up on Google, which ones are the good ones. Usually the cutoff is 55 value. Also, there's also, it says in the packaging as well sometimes. And then you want to eat high fibrous food when it's combined with the low glycemic index food. It does the job for holding off the hunger, because these fibrous food also get digested longer. And then you want nutrient dense food with a complex carbohydrate, and then a portion of lean protein, and also unsaturated fat, and also you need the micronutrients. Food preparation is just as important, because if it's not prepared correctly, it will carry a big burden for your digestion system, and it will make your day, you can have some symptoms and problems throughout the day. And for people who is growing up eating Indonesian food, with Padang food and everything, it has been a very quite challenge for me, and probably most of the people here as well. But inshallah, we can be smart and substitute things with the deep fries, change it with the air fry, or just shallow frying, or just grill bake, or usually with the nasi padang, we can substitute the white rice probably with the basmati brown rice or basmati rice. It should still does the job. And also the curries with excessive oil, you can try to switch it with just lower down the amount of oil, and substitute it with with a lot of onions and tomatoes and all that. So this pretty much how a good ideal plate of for Ramadan, or actually for the rest after Ramadan, is actually the ideal plate for us to get fulfilled, but not too much, and it's nutrient dense. And also, so for for the suhoor, which is the pre-dawn meal, you should it should be a wholesome, moderate meal that is filling, provides enough energy for many hours, and it is therefore particularly important to include slow digesting food like the complex carbohydrate here. and also drink a lot of fluid to keep you hydrated. So in here, it's nutrient dense. There's the high fiber as well, and there's the lean protein here. And then the beans is important with the micronutrient and also protein as well. And you need fruit as well as a snack. And for iftar, it is advised to break it up with the dates, just how the Prophet Muhammad SAW did it. And maximum 3 is enough, they say, especially for people with diabetic. And because this will restore the glucose that we missed for at the end of the day. And don't forget the water as well. So we want to everything. It's stated in the Quran actually. Like we are advised to not eat a lot, but eat mind put with a pure and natural quality as possible, because that's what our gut needs. And apparently, there's a lot of scientific evidence that says if we feed the right food to the gut, the bacteria in the gut is very happy, and it will send good signals to the brain, and your mind will be, will be very peaceful as well, and you can carry out the job, the deeds, the worships, and everything for the Ramadan with a happy mind, inshallah. And then with a small quantity so that the glucose is just enough to carry out the whole work in the organ body. And also you need nutrient-packed, nutrient-dense food that has been shown by our Prophet Muhammad SAW. Okay, and then there's the with Ramadan, it doesn't mean that we need to cut off our physical activity. It doesn't mean that you just sleep, at the end of the day until we wait until iftar, because our body also needs that hormones, that energy to be carried out throughout the whole day by exercising, by doing movements. And even so, there's a lot of modification usually with doing physical activity while fasting. It is advised to do it about within 2 to 3 hours after iftar, or some people do it before suhoor as well, because this is when our digestion system has finished doing their job. And then there's people who probably having a hard time to do it because after Tarawih you're really tired and you go to sleep and all that. Some people do it about half an hour to an hour before iftar, so they can quickly restore the rehydrate before after doing their exercises. And also usually there needs to be modification on the intensity, because people who usually do weightlifting in the gym, you might want to reconsider that and then switch to some low moderate intensity, like just the brisk walking, yoga stretches and all that should be sufficient. And this is just how much you need per week. And also other things that you need to do, probably de-stress and preparation for the house. You might want to avoid exerting too much work that can be carried out before Ramadan, so you can be mindful and be more focused on what is important on Ramadan. And also people usually this ibu, they're usually very busy on preparing food right throughout Ramadan, and you might want to tackle that by doing meal prep or just order food. Usually ibu have a lot of pre-orders, and you can just get them to help you out as well, and it also helps you out as well. And then most importantly, just listen to your body. If they already send up the signals that okay, I'm done, I can't do it enough, just break your fast, or just modify the intensity. That's the important thing. And then there's the sleep. Sometimes it's overlooked because, well, just as important as food, sleeping is just the same priority as ours. Especially with moms, we have a lot of tasks never ending, mashallah. And sometimes sleeping has been overlooked because usually, throughout the day you take care of your baby and then your housework and then you work, and then at night you want to finish off your work even work. But then apparently this is something that I'm still learning as well. because that's what I've been doing. But when you enter Ramadan, it's good to, because there's a lot of even more, you want to achieve a lot more things on Ramadan. You wake up, with the last third nights for Qiyamul and then Sahur. And then if people who live in the summer months, use fasting in the summer months, usually they have a shorter span of the at night, and that will be bring burden for your sleeping pattern. So you might want to start changing your sleeping pattern before Ramadan. Try to sleep early and then wake up early, so your body will not be sluggish once you enter Ramadan. And then if it's not something that you can do, probably try to squeeze in those nap times just to pay off all the missing hours that the missing sleeping hours that you miss. And there's also evidence that people with enough sleep, they tend to have less craving throughout the whole day, so it will be very helpful for your fasting as well. And apparently, studies suggest that if you're fasting, apparently the level of cortisol, which is the hormone for to maintain your energy and the stress and all that, it's affected during Ramadan. So we tend to have a lower morning cortisol level throughout Ramadan. And that's probably why some people tend to feel very sleepy, sluggish in the morning after suhoor, and then more energized during at the end of the day. So you might want to start adjusting that, so you're not your body is not surprised, and you can carry out all the morning zikr and all that during Ramadan, inshallah. Okay, and then for fasting, there are certain conditions that that are being exempted from fasting, especially for women, maybe people who are menstruating, or maybe I will focus on people who are pregnant and breastfeeding as well. But however, because fasting during Ramadan is an important religious practice, many people who are exempted, they often choose to fast, apparently. So it's more of that's why people who are with the Iwibu, who want to who has certain condition, or who are pregnant, who are breastfeeding, who wish to fast, they're advised to see the doctor and check if they're actually fit to to proceed with fasting, or if there's certain precautions they need to take if they're safe to to fast. And some people who have consumed certain medications, maybe there's a lot of adjustments for medication and whatnot, and so this is necessary usually within 1 to 2 months before Ramadan. So if there's adjustment needed, it can be handled before. Also, for ladies who are pregnant and breastfeeding, maybe many of you have fast before. Yeah, maybe. So for mothers who wish to fast, just be mindful that there is no official recommendation, like and scientifically, that tells pregnant ladies and breastfeeding ladies to not to fast. But really, there's no other person that can tell you what is right for you, inshallah. It's rather a relative choice, and there's no right and wrong way of doing it, and only us and only who can measure out our capabilities and our conditions, and also our baby and the woman and everything. And also, it's between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just please don't beat yourself up. Don't feel inadequate. I'm just hoping that you don't feel lacking for not completing the deeds. We try to embrace the role as a mom and as a wife, and then inshallah with with this hardship, it will bring up multiply our deeds. Just the level of the deeds will just the same as people who are committing the same, who are fasting and completing other things as well. But if you are feeling like you can fast, maybe there's a lot of adjustments on the fluid and food intake as well. And there's a lot of precautions that you need to look for. So people who are pregnant, there's a lot of mixed reviews on the safety and the impacts, but the stronger ones says that as long as you're well nourished, there shouldn't be any adverse effects. But there's a lot of things to consider. If you're pregnant in the first trimesters, usually it's natural to have a higher acid reflux, and that will cause you to, be nauseous, and then you throw up a lot. And then if that's the case, if you throw up a lot and then you don't compensate it with enough rehydration, it will cause, dehydration that will harm your baby and yourself. And then with the third trimester, usually there's an increase in metabolism going on in your body that requires more energy. And if it's not met, the intake is not met, and will risk you might, feel lightheaded and then fatigue and even faint and falling, which could, harm yourself and the baby, and we don't want to happen to do that. And then most would say that the safest the safest period to fast during pregnant is second trimester, but everything is very individuals. So try to consult with the OBGYN as well. And then if you want to fast while you're breastfeeding, just as long as you are not dehydrated, it says that it will not decrease milk production. So with the milk production, growth, development of the baby, and macronutrient, they say it should be it should not be affected, but there's in fact a decrease in certain micronutrients that could be compensated with your food intake or supplements as well. But if you feel like you're not fit enough and you're afraid you would harm the baby, you are still permissible to not to fast and make it up later or breastfeed. And then breastfeeding while fasting, there's a lot of things to consider with the baby or yourself. So if you are exclusive breastfeeding, you might want to reconsider fasting. But if you started solid, you probably the lack of fluid that probably could happen can be compensated with the solid that they take. And then if the baby has appropriate growth, maybe it should be okay. But if there is a certain amount of weight that need to catch up, probably you need to postpone your breastfeeding and your fasting. And then if the mother is tender nursing, there's a high demand of milk, probably you need to consider that. And if you live in a location where there's a longer day or summer days, you might want to reconsider fasting, because it will risk you on having dehydration, which is the one that we need to be cautious for. And then the meal plan for pregnant and breastfeeding mom who wish to fast. Okay, so can I just get some of you who have experience for Ramadan while pregnant and fasting or breastfeeding? What is your ideal to go suhoor menu? Does anyone want to share?
I can go if you want.
Yeah.
Biasanya Maya, I take dates, lots of dates, because I am iron deficient, sorry, and lots of supplements as well. Yeah, lots of supplements and lots of water. Yeah.
That for suhoor?
Di sahurnya ya.
Also, you just eat dates, mashallah.
Yeah, I do. Because I don't really have what is it called? I don't really have much like I can't eat a lot as a person, but yeah, during breastfeeding for my daughter. Sorry, did I just cut off?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, and usually during iftar, my husband forces me to eat lots of veggies and meat. Yeah.
Oh, mashallah. Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of fiber in date, and there's in the veggies as well. But yeah, everyone has their different needs. But usually, inshallah, you're on a good track. But for pregnant ladies, just as long as you have extra calories from from your usual needs before pregnant and breastfeeding, usually you need about 300 to 400 calories per day. That would be 1 kilogram of watermelon or just 2 slices of toast, and that should be enough. And then the fluid, that's the one that's very much needed for us who are breastfeeding. Usually you need up to 3 liters per day. So you can break it up, with iftar meal before bed, before suhoor, before fajr. Just take 2 glasses per that period, and then you should be good enough. Or you use that, with this, so you don't forget. And for the menu itself, uh, we look back with with before. You want to try to just eat small amount, but enough to keep you, get energized and have, nutrient dense, so your baby receive the nutrient that they need. So one example is probably just oats cereal, and then mix it with, what I usually do is cereal, and then I have banana, dates, and almond milk, and chia seed, and then blend it. And oh my god, I'm good for the rest of the day. And then for iftar, I like to eat avocado, because avocado is high in folic acid, and that's really important for us, especially for pregnant ladies, to avoid neural tube defect. And then a lot of snack for fruits and veggies and nuts. And that's when my with the heavy meal, like the protein, like the fish and red meat. That's when I have it with the after the main course after iftar. But yeah, with the sahur, I don't eat a lot either. But as long as you have a lot of, with the complex carbohydrate, with the fiber, and then try to add a lot of fruits and vegetables as well. And don't forget to drink, and that should be enough for you, inshallah. And so just be mindful with the red flags if you are deciding to fast. For the maternal, try to see if your milk production is has decreased, or you feel heavy, headache and lethargic, dry skin, and your pee has turned dark. And then for the signs of hypoglycemia is when you feel very weak and shivering, chills, and even fainting. And then that's when the moment when you have to break your fast, and then you just go to the ER. And then for the babies, the signs that are very worrying is the signs of dehydration. For the lighter stage, they probably still just being irritable because they feel like they're lacking of the milk. It just shows that you're lacking of milk. And then if it gets heavier, the baby could become lethargic, and then the fontanelle will sunken really deep, and then they will tend to be sleepy and all that. Even though you try to wake up, they tend to be asleep, and that's very dangerous. And you have to bring your baby to the ER immediately. And then if the decreased weight has happened, that means it's already too late apparently. So this needs to be resolved immediately. And again, just listen to your baby, listen to your body. No other person can tell you what is right for you, for fasting or not fasting while being pregnant and breastfeeding, inshallah. Just, yeah, please don't beat yourself up. And then, now that you have prepared physically, I'll just talk about a little bit about how you can kind of focus on feeding your soul and mind positively and connect to Allah, inshallah. So we're going back to the hadith before about Shaban, mashallah. So it has so Shaban is the month that has been neglected. Scholars mention that the time to compete hardest for excellence are the times that are most people are neglectful of Allah, and when they're the busiest, which is usually throughout the day, is after Asr, when they're after already exhausted and all that. People tend to wait until there's so when that's when the time they say when people are less likely to be doing the deeds, it's the evidence of your consistent of doing good. So if you do the deeds when people are tend to do it, less likely to do it at the time, it shows that you're very virtuous about your deeds, and that's when Allah will take note on you, inshallah. And then so with the good deeds, usually people tend to wait until there's a major event like Ramadan. But when there's Sha'ban waiting for you to flourish your iman, why do you have to wait until Ramadan, right? So another point is Sha'ban is the time where the deeds are being presented. So it's when our deeds are being accounted for. So we're reporting to Allah, okay, this is our deeds and all that. So people will look at us on that day. So it says that it's accounted daily, which is during after Fajr and after Asr, and then weekly is during the month Monday and Thursdays, and annually is this month Sha'ban. So all of these times we have they have numerous hadiths that explains the blessings within them. And it is when Allah forgive our sins, inshallah, and would clear the way for us to clean our hearts of hatred and grudges, and adjust your priorities and focus all of your energy on receiving the blessings of upcoming Ramadan, inshallah. So the following tips that I will tell you is on how to make the most out of it is I picked it up from a talk from Imam Umar Sulaiman, mashallah, very comprehensive and very relatable. So yeah, we talked about how we can start fasting as much as we can, starting from Sha'ban. So we want to get the virtues of fasting earlier and prepare yourself for Ramadan. And if you haven't done so, we can try to make up the missing fast. So when people are fasting, they're specifically trying to fill their day with things that fill the soul and things that bring them closer to Allah. So as they're starving themselves and removing the self from food and drink, they're also trying to get away from the desires, their nafs. And in the process of doing that, they're also cutting down on their social media time. Some people also make sure that they're being mindful about the usage of the internet, and they're very conscious about what they're saying in the conversations. We'll try to avoid backbiting and all that. And also they perform more prayers, and they're not looking at something that is it's going to be displeasing to Allah. So their eyes are fasting, the ears, the tongue, and fingers, mashallah, they're fasting right as well. And then when people fast, it's natural. They also perform to the other sunnah deeds. But then maybe some of us might rush through their voluntary prayers a little bit quicker than the other obligatory prayers, the fard prayers. And we might not take our voluntary fasts as serious as we do on fasting or Ramadan. And but of course, the fard prayers is more serious than the voluntary, but we try to bring about the same level of consciousness to avoid those sins that pollute the character, mashallah, and particularly when trying to keep your fast intact. So when you try to keep your fast as intact as possible, you're trying to keep your character as intact as well. So some people would give charity, and then visiting the elderly, visiting the sick person and whatnot, and checking on the people, our parents back home, and all of that to beautify the fast, and indeed, and also process of beautifying our character as well, apparently. And you're not just getting the reward for fasting for an entire lifetime, but you could be changing your character for a lifetime as well. And in the process, you're elevating your iman so that your status would be higher and higher in Jannah, inshallah. Inshallah, the virtue of fasting. And so we can also set a goal to read Quran. Usually it's good to, for the tongue and for physical preparation as well. But you want to read as much Quran as possible to fill in your soul and iman for Ramadan. So why not set a goal to read? Sometimes people set a goal, okay, khatam Quran Ramadan, just Ramadan. But some people just don't read the Quran, just read throughout the Ramadan and then forget about the rest of the month. But why not set a goal to read half of as much Quran as possible that you plan to read in the Ramadan? So if your Ramadan goal is to recite the entire Quran once, you can aim to recite half of it in Sha'ban or before. And it is said that Shaban in the month of preparation for Saturday as well. So people are, try to fill it up with more deeds as well during Shaban. Or if you have completed before the Ramadan, you can fill it up with other deeds like reading tafsir or even revising your memorization, inshallah. And then, so when the deeds are being presented to Allah, Allah forgives the entirety of this creation, except to those who are that's said to be mushrik, or who think about the polytheism, and then also someone who's holding a grudge towards their brother and sister, and who holds a strong hatred and spite towards the brother and sister. And another nation also mentioned about someone who have committed murder. So except for those three people, Allah inshallah will forgive and count our deeds and forgive our sins inshallah before we enter Ramadan and Sha'ban. And throughout this period, Allah already cleaned your record. So with this privilege, you can approach Ramadan without burden of your sins, with the longing of the Creator, and then you can just longing for the month of Ramadan because your Lord is so merciful that in this month He looks at the creation and He forgives the entire creation, so long as there's no mushrik, enmity, or murder. And so the call to action is there's a preparation for with the reciting the Quran, and also we talked about preparing fasting. But what about the heart? We need to prepare for it as well. So like nothing consumes the hearts and distracts it from Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, subhanahu wa ta'ala, like the grudge of feeling the grudge. We know that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us about the man that from people of Jannah, not because he fasted more or he prayed extra, but because he slept every single night with a clean heart. One of the most healing practices that you find from the son of the Prophet ﷺ, is the idea of going to sleep at night and removing all grudges from your hearts and forgive people. Probably hard, yeah. And if you can't find reasons to forgive them for them, then we try to forgive them like for ourselves, because we try to move on so we can try to focus on what's important. So yeah, just state that, okay, I'm going to put this behind. I'm going to move on for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that I can seek that elevation with my Lord, and that elevation of status, that peace of mind, and that purity of heart, inshallah. And so especially with this pandemic going on, you have to think about how quickly things are unfolding right now, and death is always imminent. Even there's no pandemic or not, each one of us is always threatened by death at every moment of our lives, because death is very unpredictable and it could take any one of us. We might not be able to meet Ramadan anyway, and so many people die with unresolved disputes, with unresolved grudges. And having like those things consume them, never had the ability to reconcile before their death. And in fact, so many people let others die without having the chance to reconcile with them, and then live the rest of their life with regrets. So we don't want to have those regrets. And then the only time that gets resolved is in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the call to action is just maybe we try to be forgiving. One of the things that usually prevents us from, deeds, doing the deeds from being accepted is those who still hold grudges. And if you still have any bad habit, you can try to begin to break, probably hasad, feeling jealousy, backbiting. Yeah, you want to try to resolve them before entering Ramadan. And it's good to always make a plan before entering Ramadan. You have, prepared before, and then try to make a tangible plan of a daily act of worship and good deeds that you want to accomplish every day. Write out your ideal Ramadan day, and just like how when we got married, we prepare. We have a wedding planner, and we prepare weeks before, because we want to be perfect, just like how we want to welcome Ramadan perfectly. So be it reading the Quran, ensuring praying Tarawih, or inviting friends for iftar. You can shift those goals, and you can try to list out what are your plans and how to achieve your goals. And it's important to set it realistically, so you can look back, and you can take make it consistent even after Ramadan. So I want to try, if you have something to write on, or you can type it out on your gadget. I want to take the next probably a couple of seconds or minutes to set your Ramadan plan, probably. So you may say, okay, we are young moms who probably have young infants. Usually we set goals before kids. We usually get set goals. Okay, one juice per day, or finish the Quran for the whole Ramadan. That means we need to read 4 pages per salah. Well, for being realistically speaking, it's quite hard to reading Quran and then without having your baby to grow up your Quran and all that. So probably you have to harder time to find the time to do that. So you can kind of adjust your expectation, or you can switch the target. Probably try to do more on doing tahsin, or reading the tafsir, or memorization, because you can just listen to the Qur'an, and then you can pick it up, and then probably your baby can, inshallah, they pick it up as well, inshallah. So if you can have the time to do that Ramadan planner, do it every night before, every night in Ramadan, or every per week, and so you can, do you know what to do, per day, so you don't waste your time, and you can spend your time wisely, inshallah. And the whole point of Ramadan, inshallah, is taqwa. So my teacher taught me about this story about Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, and asked Ubay ibn Ka'ab radiallahu anhu. They said, what is the meaning of taqwa? And Ubay ibn Ka'ab said, "Oh Amir ul Mu'minin, have you walked in a field that had a lot of thorny plants?" And Umar said, "Yes." Ubay said, "So what did you do?" And Umar replied, "I lifted up my clothes and I was very careful." Ubay ibn Ka'ab said, and that is taqwa. So taqwa is all about changing from, you have been exposed to all this thorny exposure. You want to change it, and you want to start new, because at the end, Ramadan, it's all about changing, inshallah, and it's about it depends on all your capability, inshallah. And may Allah accept our deeds in this Ramadan. May Allah make it easy for your preparations. And wallahu alam bisawab. Any input or any insight, we're open to discuss, inshallah. Going back to Maya.
Yeah, give me a second. Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Mbak Fidi, for your input today. Is there anyone who wants to ask any questions? Ibu, or the young ones who are not married? Anyone? You can write it in the chat if you want, or you want to write privately to Mbak Fidi. Mbak Fidi ada Instagramnya nggak? Do you have Instagram?
I do, but it's not under my
Yeah.
name. It's more of like one of the side hustles that we do. It's Happy Studio. But you can also write me on WhatsApp as well. Probably
Yeah,
if you.
type aja di chat Mbak, bisa. Okay, any other questions? KTJ?
Probably maybe we can share about your Ramadan plan, like we talked about.
My Ramadan plan?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
One of the goals that you want to try and how to achieve it. Have you thought about it?
Definitely this month, this year, I definitely want to finish the Quran. Like that was already my goal. Inshallah.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Even though I know I'm gonna give birth the last 10 nights, but inshallah, you never know.
Mashallah. That's what happened to me last year. Oh, you're expecting, mashallah.
Yeah,
you don't look like you're expecting.
Yeah, because you can't see my tummy.
Mashallah, make it all easy for you.
Yeah. Anyone else want to share their Ramadan plans, their goals?
I don't know, it doesn't have to be. It could be like, okay, I want to do social media cleansing. I want to do well. So inshallah, everyone here is already very well prepared. 1 week away, inshallah.
Ameen. Okay, shall we close then? Yeah, Mbak?
Yeah, sure.
If there are any other questions, you can always ask Mbak Fidi through her Instagram or her phone, inshallah. I'll save it. Okay. Alhamdulillah, Jazakallah Mbak Fidi for your time with us. May Allah reward you immensely, inshallah, and also make it easy for your Ramadan this year. Ameen. Hopefully this lecture has been beneficial to you, to all of us. May we apply it in this Ramadan and Ramadans in the future, or even our daily lives. More or less, please forgive me if I've offended anyone or have made a mistake. Let's end the program with istighfar 3 times, followed by dua kafaratul majlis. Astaghfirullahaladzim, astaghfirullahaladzim, astaghfirullahaladzim. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika asyhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Fidi. Thank you, Maya.
It was nice looking at you.
Fidi.
Come over to Melbourne.
Are you in Melbourne? How's Melbourne?